Good morning and welcome to Pistols Progress, episode number 36. I'm Heather Smith. I'm the creator of BarrelRacingTips.com, and lately I've been taking you on a trip along with myself and my gelding Pistol for a ride behind the scenes as I get them prepared for competition. So I've been doing these live videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. Central. And today I have something special for you. I thought something a little different. I wanted to take you on an actual ride with me through the pattern. So it's going to be at a walk because, I'm actually holding my phone, but here in a couple minutes I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm just going to walk you through what things are looking like, what my expectations are, the little things that we're working on, and things that you want to be aware of as well. So we just had an incredible workout. We definitely discovered some things that needed tuning up, and this is actually the perfect time to be doing it. Pistol is feeling really good. He's turned a corner in that sense in the last couple weeks, and we're establishing a baseline level of fitness, so he's really ready to start cranking things up and testing things, and my expectations have really increased for him. And so basically we're just taking all the new little understandings I've put in place in the past several weeks, and then I'm testing them and tweaking them with the speed element added. And so I did sort of elope through just a minute ago. I also did that exercise I mentioned last time. I also mentioned it in the Q&A last night, where we do really collected circles in the corner of the arena and then we sprint them across down the long way. And so I'll tell you a little bit first how that went. When I cruised him through, I don't necessarily always cruise him just fluid like all the way through, because there's always things I'm feeling that I'm kind of correcting as we go. So it's very seldom do I feel like things are perfect enough. Maybe when a horse is younger and they're just kind of, they're making little mistakes and they just need to build their confidence, it's one thing. But Pistol is at a point where we don't really want to be practicing, even for a split second, something that isn't really good form. So one of the things I did that I was really impeccable about was, as we would lope towards the first barrel, I really asked him to get on his hind end. I really rotated my pelvis forward and kind of tucked my pockets, and I just asked him to elevate and get square and balance in his body, and I asked him to match me and maintain that sort of posture without having it being like really dependent on me even having contact with the reins. Like, I really wanted him to show me, it's like, okay, I have to trust you, I have to set you free, you have to be correct, and I'm not going to be here as a crutch. I will offer some subtle guidance here and there, but it was a way of testing and say, if I give it to you, can you show me that you're responsible for doing your part? And it's really eye-opening, because so often in our training we kind of have a little feel on the reins here and there, and most of the time it's a little too much, and we prevent the opportunity from really seeing where our horse is at. And then we wonder why in a run things are falling apart when we've been kind of nursemaiding them and micromanaging them on a day-to-day basis. So sorry if the video is a little bit bumpy. He's got a really big walk, which I love. I really credit that to him feeling good. And if by nature, I don't think it would be his idea to have a really big fluid forward walk, but it's something that I ask of him, and he is really great in the sense that he will definitely rise to the occasion and do and be whatever I ask, but I do have to be impeccable and on my toes about asking for it. But we want that length and fluidity of their stride on the pattern, so why not practice it all the time? And I really want my horse to just match me anyway, so if I'm riding, I want him to move like I'm riding. That's another thing that we worked on today. He seemed like he was a little bit dull to my seat. Like, I want to be able to push my pelvis forward in time with his stride and have him respond to it instantly, and it wasn't really very crisp, so we really I tuned that up. And when I did the collected circles in the corner and then I kind of breezed them down the length of the arena, it was like, it took him way too long to get rated down. And like right at the first barrel hasn't necessarily been his specialty over the years. And so he's actually doing really, really well, feeling amazing at the first barrel. But that, like, if I'm asking him to like rock back and shut down and rate down, and it takes him like several strides to do it, or if I feel like he's pushing on my hands just a little bit, it's like, that we need to have an equal balance of whoa and go. And that's really what our horse, like if they're a hovercraft, they'll be like, their readiness to go forward, sideways, any direction, or back is like equal. And you know, then we have like the ultimate athleticism. And so I backed him up about twice the distance that it took him to shut down, which was quite a ways. And then we just worked again on him responding to my seat. So I would really ask him to hustle forward, but it would only go a few steps, and then I'd be like, come back to me. Now go! And we'd go for a few strides, and I'm like, now come back to me. And so I did just enough of this to really connect with his mind and not overdo it so that I didn't stress his body too much. So it's kind of a fine line I have to walk with him. So that's a rundown of what we worked on. Right now, I'm going to take you on a little bit of a trip through the pattern. I'm just going to catch up on comments. Hey, Cindy. Love to see you, Billy. Hi, Becky. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Cheryl. Love seeing you guys. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera around. And I'm just going to talk my way through the pattern here. Okay, so I'm just going to do this one-handed, obviously, because I have my hand on the camera. But whether you're coming down the alley or whether you are making a corner to go to the first barrel, especially if you're going to do a circle, make sure that you're really thinking ahead so that you don't have to go, well, I go to the left barrel first. But what you want to try not to do is start too far over this way if you can. And then do you see how now I'm in a position to sort of fade into that first barrel? And again, we go to the left barrel first. So I would really rather start just to the left side of the third barrel if I'm going to the left barrel first, go straight for a while, and then have an even gentle arc over the first barrel. Everybody's is a little bit different. If you watch some people, they do actually take more of a straighter line. And so I'm not sure that like, I know that there's been times in desperation and in really unique circumstances where my horse just was not hooked on the first barrel in the moment, and in desperation I had to just like put them on top of it almost in a desperate attempt to get it hooked. But in my opinion, it's better to start further over this way so that your horse's body is in a similar position so that they're basically not flat leaving for the first barrel and straight. They're just a little bit more upright and balanced and arced, if that makes sense. Like arced a little bit, and making it easy for them to arc in the same shape as the actual barrel turn. And like I said, a lot of this will apply if you're going to the other barrel first. So I almost went too far because I was looking at the camera. And so I'm just checking in with him, even though I'm just one-handed and my mind is a little bit scattered. I'm like, so I want a little bit of nose. I want to feel in his body that he is using his hindquarters, that he's a little bit elevated in his front end. And then I'm going to gradually make my arc over here. And lately, I've actually been stopping right maybe just about or just past that crisscross point. And then if I stop and rest here for a minute, I'll give him time to just lick and chew. Sometimes I'll even give him a treat, and we'll just veg out here for a second. So stopping, like I said, right at the first barrel in the past has not necessarily been a specialty. So stopping at the barrels isn't necessarily a bad thing. We just don't want to do it with excess repetition. We don't want to do it without connecting to our horse's mind. We don't want to do excess stopping and really ramming and jamming them if they actually have they're not wanting to rate because of a soundness issue. We don't want to ram them and jam them and stop them excessively at the first barrel if we're not teaching them to actually be good balanced movers first and foremost. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we're ready to go, and I've actually been giving him maybe like a foot or so more room around the barrels. I've kind of changed things up. So I really want to get past it before I start the turn. So I didn't mean to tip his hind leg in there, but you can see here's my leg and there's the barrel. Like, I want to get by it. And so when we make this move to actually turn, I kind of want to keep, because I just noticed this in the video from last weekend, that he really kind of loses that outside hind foot right when we commit to the turn, and then right as we commit to the back side of it. And so I really want to keep, I don't want to put like an excess amount of bend in his body, because bend can bind, but I do want to keep his hind end kind of tucked in. I want to keep my hips engaged. And you can see, let's see, if I do no hands, that he is honoring this, what I have taught him by himself. And so if I straighten my body and ask him to go to the second barrel, then he goes. It's not dependent on the reins. So I not only want him to be able to follow the correct footfall pattern, the path, but I want him to do it with the right body position. So here we're going around the second. We're going to go around it twice. That's like one simple way to help your horse learn to be a little bit more engaged, because if they're just anticipating exiting the barrels, they're going to tend to get a little bit more strung out. Where if they're like ready in their mind to turn it a second time, then they're going to stay a little bit more gathered up. And so now we're headed to the third. And I'm really conscious too of not like losing my mind. I want to stay really connected, even in between the barrels. I don't want to get sloppy. I want to keep that really collected, like forward strong walk. Again, I'm coming out like fairly wide from the barrels here. And I felt him the other day when we exhibitioned, I felt him kind of step into and anticipate the third barrel. And so one thing we can do when we get up here right when they're going to commit to the turn is that I could do a little spin around this way, and then you can actually do a little turnaround even the other way if you want to. It really just depends on your horse's needs, but it really requires your horse to elevate their front feet, get them kind of snappy and moving forward, and use their hind end. However, if your horse is really clunky in a turnaround or in that spin, then that needs to be fixed outside of the barrels too, because the last thing you want to do is use that kind of a maneuver to fix something, but then not really be able to do it well, or it won't really do a whole lot of good. So there you go. That's a lot to soak in, but let me just turn the camera around. So one other thing I was going to mention that we've been working on, like here is it's a tip that could be the one biggest game changer for your barrel racing across the board, especially how you clock. It can be so easy. So if you've ever studied examples of barrel racers like 2 runs side to side, so often they're actually like really close in how they clock, like through the pattern itself. And a lot of barrel races are won and lost on the home stretch. And so, you know, our horses have varying levels of athletic talent and speed, but there's so much we can do to bring out all the potential that they have. So if that's something you want to do, if you don't already have my book, Secrets to Barrel Racing Success, and the free speed guide that comes with it, that would be a great starting point. But the other thing we can do is that whenever you're doing your slow work, at home, or if you just want more speed between the barrels, really get lively as soon as your horse clears the barrel and they get straight. Like, really amp up your energy. Like, I would hate for somebody to be here while I'm riding. There are some horses parked over here, but there's no humans. But I say goofy stuff, I do goofy stuff, and it's just like, I get really animated, and I exaggerate things at times to teach my horse things. Hi, Charla. So what I was doing today is I was getting really animated when we would push off and leave from the barrels. And I might just be working them at a walk or a trot, but I want Pistol to realize mentally that when we clear that barrel and he gets his body straight, it's like, bam, it's like time to go, like, get engaged, we're going. And if we just sort of like keep the same sort of pace throughout, they're not really going to crack and fire away very hard. And then so what I also do is I make sure, like, even if I'm walking or trotting the pattern, when I leave that third barrel, I make that like really extended, and I just really amp up my energy and praise my horse and say like, good boy. And you know, you might even just kind of goose your horse a little bit if you're going a little bit faster, and say, you know, to get them, like, really liven them up and say, now is when you really, you know, really crack away with a lot of speed. But anyway, what I'm getting to is if we can just do a better job of training our horses to just fire away from even just the third barrel, especially to really, really hustle home, then that can make such a huge difference in how you clock. Like, I really think it's possible to take off a couple tenths, if not more. And then the other thing, you can also make sure you're practicing your stopping at the end of your run. And like, you can never go wrong practicing that, and like really reiterating it, and really making that end point when you finish like a real get on your butt and then rest here, so that like they get it in their head that like this is not a place to like mindlessly just push through or anything like that. Like, really get it in their mind. And really getting things in their mind, sometimes all it takes is just stopping them and then just sitting there for a few minutes before you go on to the next thing. So that's what I have for you today. And that's a lot. I should take you on a ride with me more often, right? I was still in the process of sort of cooling him out, and I didn't want him to stand still, so I thought I would take you on a ride along with me. So I'm going to continue cooling him off, and I hope you've enjoyed this trip through the pattern. As always, it is so much fun bringing you along with me, but he is absolutely right where he needs to be at this point. And I couldn't be more excited and thrilled for where we're headed. So lots of exciting things going on behind the scenes, and I'll keep you posted on all of it. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time.